Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Overtime. Myself, Mr. Fantastic, and today we have a special guest. We got
You're
Michael.
Mr. Fantastic.
I am Mr. Fantastic. I am Mr.
I
Fantastic.
didn't know that.
You didn't know I was Mr. Fantastic?
Well, I saw it somewhere, but
Yeah,
I didn't think that.
all over. It's like all over my socials.
I didn't think that was a thing.
Yeah, it's my alias. It's my alias. That's what they call me. That's what they call me.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. Do you want to know why I'm Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah, you probably want to explain.
All right, cool. So basically, like, people have like a misconception as to why I call myself Mr. Fantastic. I'm not saying I'm fantastic. That's not what like I'm claiming to be. But basically, it's a reminder of who like I must be. So basically, it's a reminder that I need to like be fantastic, do the best in everything that I do, push forward in everything, and try my best to be Mr. Fantastic.
Like a superhero.
I know. Well, he is a superhero. Funny enough, he's actually not my favourite superhero.
Oh, no?
No, my favourite superhero is actually Thor. But I mean, it would be weird if I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? It's Thor. So I just go with Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, that would be weird.
That would be weird, wouldn't it? So we got Michael. I can't even say in the building. We're in his building today. Michael allowed us to come into his house to do a little interview. And yeah, man. So basically, would you just like to tell the people that are watching, what is it exactly that you do, like, for like a living and stuff?
So I my role is basically a head of growth, right? And you're probably thinking, what is that? So my company, I joined my new company, in February. I came from a previous SaaS or software company, software company. And I left there kind of like heading up the business development and marketing in Europe. So when I joined my new company, Clary, I joined from the perspective of helping them to scale out their European business. And helping them to essentially acquire net new customers, grow net new revenue. So of course I have quite aggressive revenue goals, quite aggressive pipeline goals that I need to hit. But think of it this way. They hired me to scale out their company in Europe, because they didn't really have a presence there. So they're an American-based company, right? And they're doing really, really well there. But they hadn't really touched Europe properly. I mean, when I joined, there was my managing director and another sales director, but and we had like a few customers. But now we're trying to get to the point where we can say, we have, maybe like a quarter of 100. So around 20-25 customers by February next year. So I'm basically the person that's going to start that process for each and every single one of our customers.
So basically, like in simpler terms, because from like the stuff that you said, for people like me, I'm far from a corporate guy. So basically, like, the companies like in America, they called upon you, and then you were like in the UK, like in Europe, basically trying to like open doors and stuff like that, trying to reach out to basically like start something in the UK before they like officially move over, kind of thing.
I mean, they'll never move over from the US, but any software business in America, like Europe is an amazing, like, for any software business that wants to scale, like, a lot of them, their strategy or their kind of strategy coming down from CEO is global expansion and going into different emerging markets and so on and so forth. So I actually cover Europe, Middle East, and Africa. But Africa is not really a place where we can really sell right now. But definitely like all of Europe, all of Middle East. We might go into APAC as well, which is Asia, which is basically Asia. And essentially, you as a company, for you to say you're global company, you need to have offices everywhere. You need to have customers everywhere. So basically, I have the huge responsibility of expanding our customer base in Europe.
That's mad. That's actually mad. So is this like something that like you set out wanting to do? Because I remember when I met you,
which was like university, 5 years ago.
Time ago. Like when I met you, were studying like sports, isn't it?
I was studying sports management, and actually what I wanted to do was to go into football.
He's an Arsenal fan, by the way.
I am an Arsenal fan.
Come on.
So yeah, I went to university, did sports management with the
Yeah.
intention to go down the sports coaching route.
Uh-huh.
So essentially, I wanted to enter the football management
Yeah.
field. However, I had to pivot quite.
Yeah.
I had to pivot when I left university. I had to pivot because in kind of to get into football coaching, to get into sports coaching, it's very it's just there's a lot like you think there is glass ceiling in a corporate world.
Uh-huh.
There's massive barriers
Yeah.
to entry, huge barriers to entry in the sports coaching industry,
Yeah.
and that's why you don't see a lot of BAME coaches, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Makes sense.
You just
makes
don't.
sense.
On top of that, so that's a barrier itself.
Uh-huh.
The whole there's barely any black coaches at a top level. That's the
Yeah.
first thing. The second barrier was you don't really make that much money unless you are at a professional level.
Makes sense.
Like you are maybe in you're maybe managing a championship team or even a premiership team.
Uh-huh.
I don't even think league. Like I don't think I would have made as much money as I wanted to, even if I was coaching at football league level.
Yeah.
So and that was another barrier to entry.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah.
on top of that, usually the market is really saturated, right? There's very few jobs, too much candidates.
Yeah.
Very few
Makes
jobs,
sense.
too much candidates. And I just felt that I was just going to be competing against too many people.
Uh-huh.
And that was another thing. And there's just so many things. There's like it takes you like 20-25 years to really get there. And it just didn't align with what I wanted to achieve at a particular age point in my life. So at the time when I was studying at uni, I was 2021. I was like full blown going towards it, and I was like, okay, you know what? If I really, really want to make this a thing, I would have to travel. I'd have to go, I have to fly to maybe go live in some European country somewhere, maybe Norway, and start my career there. I might have to move to the US. Like I would kind of bring it to the point of faith. I would have to leave my church, really.
Yeah, makes sense. And like with you talking about like all these barriers and stuff like that, it's kind of like makes me think of something that I was actually listening today. I was listening to a sermon from a bishop in Brazil. Bishop Edson, that's what he's called. And he was basically saying about how no's are something that we're used to in life. Like from a young age, we're used to, but depending on the circumstance of that no, we need to use our faith, channel our faith, and know whether to go against that no or whether you should obey it. So like, for instance, like what you're saying here with all these obstacles, it was like, am I going to try and break through all these barriers and maybe not make it? Or as you did, you pivoted to something else and you faced other no's, but you were like you kind of like revolted against those situations and you got to where you are now.
Yeah.
Did you ever like in that like period kind of feel like pivoting was the wrong choice?
No.
Never. Wow.
No.
Wow.
I feel like I don't think pivoting was the wrong choice. I think
well, obviously now we know.
Yes, of course. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think pivoting was the wrong choice. I think it was a very intelligent choice, actually, simply because when I make decisions, I just weigh up cost. Like I just weigh up I weigh up the risk, I weigh up the cost, I weigh up the opportunity cost, which is essentially saying, okay, well, looking at what I have, I can either go. So this is how I saw it. I can either go down this route, try to break down, all those barriers that will take me maybe 20, 25 odd years to earn what I really want to be, or to earn, to earn an amount where I wouldn't need to do two jobs. Because the reality is, even coaching in a football league, right? Or even coaching above grassroots, they're coaches that have to work two jobs. And why do I want to work two jobs? So that was one thing. I was like, okay, that's not really a no I want to fight, because I just know the reality of it. Second of all, it's also the perspective of football managers work 18 hours a day. Yeah. There is no church.
Wow, I actually never did that.
There is no church. They can't be church. There can't be time for church. Yeah. They work 18 hours a day, literally. It's 7 till maybe 8 p.m. every single day, doing loads of different things. What time is there for services? What time is there? Sunday, maybe it's on a most of them play their games on a Saturday, but some play on a Sunday. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? So you have to fly out to loads of different countries. Yeah. There is no church. There is it would be difficult. Not impossible. Yeah, because we have online services now, but difficult to maintain the same level of commitment I I'm able to maintain.
Yeah.
So it was just looking at the cost really. What was the did I want to pay for that? It was a time cost.
Yeah.
It was a time cost. And to a certain degree, it was a financial cost, because to grow in your career as a football manager, you have to do courses that cost a lot of money, and then you can even do all those courses. It doesn't guarantee you that you get a job. However, I have to pay nothing to
do what you're doing.
To do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But I'm earning as much as whatever. So
yeah.
it's just no brainer. I don't look
sense.
back. I mean, if I really want to be a football manager, I've got FIFA. So
It's true. The career mode. And there, the sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Sky's the limit.
And who knows? I'm still 26. I can still pivot.
Yeah.
I can still pivot. If I decided today that I want to go into food management, I go and do the licenses that I need to.
Yeah.
And I can still do it, but I don't see myself doing it. That's the thing.
I feel like the way that you fought to make that decision, to make that change, I feel like not a lot of people think that way, if you get what I mean. So you took the time that it would take, how it would affect your faith, the cost, and all the difficulties. I feel like for instance, even sometimes with me, certain decisions that I make, it's like short gain, if you get what I mean. So what I can see now, so this here makes more sense for the here and now. This here makes more sense now. So with me pivoting to say this thing or that thing, I'm going to do it with the here and now. And I just respect you for taking that time, for actually being able to be a person where you thought for the long game.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, you thought ahead and not just here and now. And if someone is in this like position now, they studying one thing, even like for instance, like what you do now, you didn't study for it. You didn't study, so like they're studying one thing. They've set their mind on this one thing.
Yeah.
And they're in between two minds. Like what would you suggest to them? Someone that has focus, like you started the first, like I don't want to say the first half of your year, but you like of your life, sorry. You start focusing on something else. You turn to something else. Like, what would be your advice to these like people that they're in between two minds? Like, do I go down this route? Do I do that?
Yeah.
Do I go to this? Do I do that? And I feel like even like a lot of people my age, we go for the short. Like for instance, everyone wants to do YouTube. I'm not like sending for anyone. I'm on YouTube now.
Yeah.
But it's like people want to do YouTube because they think there's so much money in YouTube. There's actually not that. There's not that much money in YouTube. Like it takes a long time. You need a lot of subscribers. And a lot of these big YouTubers, like these millionaires, majority of their money doesn't even come from YouTube. It comes from sponsors. It comes from like merchandise and all of these things. So people look at the short game like, oh, I'm gonna spend my whole life making videos, editing them like 2 hours a day, and editing is so long. It's so long. So we look to the here and now, we look to the short term, and it gets to a point where people are like 30 and they're like, damn, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, it's a bit too late there, isn't
Yeah,
it?
do you know what I mean? Like right now in your 20s, this is your time to make money, lose money, invest, do all of these stuff. But if you're divided, it's going to get to a point, or if you're making decisions on the short game, it's going to get to a point where like you're 30 and you're like, what am I doing? Like when I was like 18 and I thought, what am I doing? Then I was able to look at the bigger picture, look at the scale, research stuff. I still had time. I felt, when I had that realization, I felt a lot older than I actually was, because I was having those thoughts. I tell people I had like a quarter life crisis. Like I was like, and what happened? What happened was, bro, I read the book of Ecclesiastes. Yeah, people tell me I read it wrong. I read the book of Ecclesiastes, and I was just sitting there. I was like, everything's vanity, bro. Like everyone's gonna die, and who am I? Like no one's gonna remember me. Like, no one's gonna remember what I do. No one's gonna remember the pictures that I take. No, and I was literally just thinking, like, what's the point? Like, I remember I cut people off, and I just didn't know what to do. But because I was at such a young age, it's like, okay, 18, I was a blur. 20, I started to like piece things together. 21 now, I don't want to say I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure things out as it goes. But it's like, because of how young I am now and everything that I went through, I can say I'm on a better path. But what would be your advice? Because I don't want to give my advice. My advice is a bit crazy.
I would love to hear your advice.
But listen, guys, just fake it till you make it, man.
Fake it till you make it.
I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just doing stuff and learning as I go. Like, that's my...
I don't think that's bad advice.
Yeah, but what happens if people make bad decisions?
No, but that's the thing. You're young enough to make bad decisions.
Yeah,
you're young enough to make bad decisions, and this is what I think a lot of people need to understand, especially a lot of people in their early 20s or even maybe in their early 20s, between kind of like 18 and kind of 28, 29. You can make mistakes.
Yeah,
it's not too late. It's when you're making mistakes at 35.
Yeah,
that's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, you've got a wife
and
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids.
You have kids, and everything that you're going to do is going to affect them. Anyway, I don't think the whole doing things and learning as you go. That is a mantra I would definitely take on. I would 100% do that.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm learning as I go. And
sense.
I'm doing stuff. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm involved in a lot of things. I have a full-time job. I sit on two boards of directors for two charities. I run a multimedia agency, which is like the fastest growing in the UK right now. Like, there's a lot of hands. Like, I'm doing a lot, and I'm going to make mistakes, but that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. But my advice, as you asked me, is okay. If someone is choosing, okay, do I go here? Do I go there? What should I do? Kind of similar to, if I was to give this advice, I would definitely give the same advice that I did, right? And if this is we're going to kind of apply the whole Christian and faith umbrella, right? So as I mentioned earlier, if I wanted to go down the career of being a football manager, 18 hours a day, every single day, right? That's the first thing. That's a big problem because, in our church, we have services, there's 3 main services you need to go to. That's not happening unless I attend full-time, become an online full-time attender, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, it's that, how is it, I started to think, okay, well, I'm working 18 hours a day. What time am I actually going to spend with my family? Yeah. What time am I going to spend with my family? So I had to weigh up that cost. Thirdly, the average tenure of a football manager is about 8 months. Some get sacked after 8 weeks. Yeah, right.
Brazilian football's mad, bro. They last like 2 weeks, bro.
You know what I mean?
It's
really volatile, right? So it's not actually a stable career. Yeah. I mean, I work in sales. It's not really a stable career. But football's crazy. Like it's you come in after a month, 2 months, you can be gone after 8 days. You're basically every game you manage. You're managing for your next game.
It's true, yeah.
You get what I mean? Yeah. So do I want in a stable career, an unstable career like that? No. So the church thing, the family thing, the instability. Then let's talk about the traveling. Let's talk about the media. Now, one of the reasons I considered maybe I should go down this road is the opportunity to reach out to preach the gospel on a wider scale because as you know. Manages to do press conferences all the time and stuff like that. There is you have a massive audience, like no doubt. Yeah. If you want to preach the word of God, you have the platform to do it as a manager. However, I just felt at the time of my life, the career I was going down just were not aligning with the time frame I gave my goals. So what I mean by that is, okay, you know what? It's going to take me 5 years to make 6 figures. But I want to be able to get married, have my house, have kids in that 5 years. Is it realistic on doing it on 25k, 30k, 40k? It's not realistic for me. So now I have to go figure out a career that gave me the earning potential to achieve my goals. Yeah. And that's how I will do it. It's always just understanding anything I plan in life, right? All my goals today, if I showed you my vision board, my goals, I know the cost to each and every single one of them. I know the financial cost. I know how long it's going to take me. Well, most of them. I even know even the emotional cost and even the cost that it might have to my faith. The good, by the way, cost doesn't always have to be bad, right? But the good cost or the bad cost. Well, let's just say the good and the bad, right?
Yeah.
I know that's it. The pros and cons.
The pros and cons.
So it's just I have pros and cons for all of my goals. I have pros and cons for everything I want to do. So, you know, that kind of makes me. And then what I do is, okay, if I have more pros, I'll go with it. I'll take the risk. If I have more cons and there's less pros, then we're not doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I do really serious, deep analysis with all my decisions, financial decisions or career decisions.
Yes, in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
From like what you said, from like my understanding is literally just understand your priorities.
Yeah.
What do you want? What's your? Because obviously your goals may be different. Well, are different to mine. My goals are different to the person like that's watching. People want to get married in like at a different age. People want different things in life. So just find your priorities and see what fits those best. And this has been a very nice chat, bro. It's been a very, 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 very good talk. I've learned a lot from this conversation. Is there anything that you like to say to the people? You have a YouTube page, isn't it?
Yeah. We have a YouTube page, and it's basically a YouTube page that focuses on personal branding, because that's pretty much how I got where I am today. Was just branding myself constantly at every stage of my career. And yeah, it's made me money, man. It's made me a lot of money. And I think that's it's a huge criteria, and I think it's a massive thinking point for every young person right now. Needs to be thinking about their personal brand. And if you don't know what personal branding is, it's just basically what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's just the way I describe it. And you know, the way things are is people make decisions for they make decisions whether to hire you when you're not in the room. They make decisions whether to to even go out with you whether you're in the room or not. When you're not in the room. So most decisions that affect your life are made. We go to a church. When you're considered for a position, the decision's already made when you're not there.
Yeah. That's very true, yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You just find out about it.
Yeah, after.
Okay. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So can you see how important your personal brand is and what people are saying? And a lot of people have this perspective, like, you shouldn't talk. Or people say things like, "Oh, you can't judge me," or like it's not good to talk behind your back. Actually, depending on your life depends on people talking behind your back.
I've never thought of it like that. I never thought
your life, whether you're rich or poor, depends on whether people talk behind your back. Whether someone invests in your business idea or not is done behind your back. It's if it's someone that is married that you want to make, you've maybe given a business proposal to, and you want their money and you want them to invest in your business, they go and talk to their friends. They go and talk to their friends that have invested in businesses. They go and talk to maybe their wife.
Yeah.
So the decision whether to invest in you or not is made behind your back. So why do you have such a big problem with it? Whether a girl wants to marry you or not, or date you or not, is already they go that you come to them, they talk to their friends already about you.
GC ready for you.
They do a DBS checks on you and you don't know about it.
For real,
it's
man.
all done behind your back.
Then they just start saying stuff. You're like, how do you know this?
Exactly.
Who told you that?
Exactly. You know what I mean? When you go for a job interview, what do you think that decision is made? It's made behind your back. It's made when you're not there. So people have such a big problem with things being said behind their back. Well, my advice is get used to it and leverage it. And leverage it. Use your personal brand to be the presence for you when you're not in the room, when you're not in that scenario where someone's making a decision whether to invest in you or not. Let your personal brand speak for you, and that's why it's probably the most important thing I'm thinking about. If I want a promotion at work, I need to start thinking about my personal brand. What do I want the person that's going to promote me to say about me? And that then transpires into your work ethic. It transpires into the decisions you make. It transpires into the solutions you bring. Right? That is, you're building a personal brand for yourself, and you're building a frame. So when people look at Sam, when people look at Mr. Fantastic, when people look at Michael, they're like, oh, Michael's good at this, Mr. Fantastic is good. They won't say Mr. Fantastic is Sam. They know what you're good at. They know they'll be able to make a very, very clear decision as to why they should invest in you or not invest in you. So that's kind of my advice for you guys. It's exactly that. It's to really think about even in church, man.
Yeah.
It's even in church because a lot of things, a lot of things happen in church. You want to find your wife in church.
It's true,
You want to have the opportunity to serve God more in church. And a lot of the time, it's your reputation.
I feel like people don't take into consideration like their personal brand, and especially because they don't see it as that. They just see it as, I'm me.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about me?
Yeah, exactly.
Or that person is talking about me, but they don't see it as I am a brand. They think, I feel like, for instance, when you said personal branding, I'm like, oh, this is for the influencers watching. Do you know what I mean? But it comes down to like each person individually.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, like for instance with me, I'm a very carefree person.
Yeah.
So I can say I haven't really taken my personal brand too serious because of my carefreeness. But hearing everything that you're saying, it's like super insightful because it's like, all right, with this way that I'm carefree, how is that portraying to others? How is that portraying to my future wife? What does she see when she sees
exactly.
my Instagram? When she sees,
and you might not even know who she is yet.
Exactly.
But she is there building a picture of who you are.
Yeah.
And she's making the most crucial life decision that she'll make based on what you're showing about yourself. You get what I mean? And a lot of people always, the people have this thing of, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Absolutely criminal thing to do.
Yeah.
Because if what you are is not good,
then you need to be ready for change.
You need to change.
Yeah.
You need to change. And I'm not just talking about from a faith aspect. I'm talking about from, if I went to, for example, if you were working somewhere and I went to one of your colleagues and I said, what don't you like about Sam?
Yeah.
And if they say something that makes me feel like I can't work with you, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
But then again, you're not there. You're not there
to defend myself.
To defend yourself, and you never will be there to defend yourself. You never will be there. You never will be there to defend yourself unless they give you the opportunity to defend yourself, and they make a decision on the spot with you being there, which rarely happens, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's just literally about thinking about, okay, what do I want? Who are the people that are involved in this decision-making process? It's like sales, right? I can't sell anything if I don't know who my stakeholders are, right? So you need to understand, and you need to understand who your stakeholders are in every scenario you go through in life. Yeah. When you're about to get married, for example, who are your stakeholders? Yes, the person you want to marry, her parents, your parents, your pastor. So then you need to make decisions on how to align all the stakeholders. Do you get what I mean? And that's why some people feel, especially in our church, some people feel uncomfortable to go and ask the pastor to date someone because they're not they don't know how to align. Yeah. You get what I mean? They don't actually understand, okay, it's like me, like if I wanted to date someone, for example, in chat. By the way, I am engaged.
Yeah,
so
he is.
Don't get any ideas.
I mean, I'm single.
So, like, if you wanted to, like, go to a church, for example, like our church, for example, you kind of need to go through the right procedures to date someone. But actually, if you don't know how your pastor sees you, you won't really know how to convince him that you're ready. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? So you need to align. The way you are has to align with, your goal, which is to date. So because then if the way you are, that then affects his impression of you. Do you understand what I mean? So if you can influence his impression of you to align with your goal, which is to date, you're winning there. If you can align the impression of her family, of you, to what you want, which is to date, you're gonna win there.
I'm taking bare notes. Well, I'm going to listen. I'm gonna go impress everyone. Yeah.
No, and you know what? Some people might even feel like, maybe I don't need to impress everyone. I am who I am. Well, it's the wrong way to think. Yeah. You get what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you want people to always, when they look at you and they observe you, you want them to have a good impression. And that's why they say first impressions count. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? A lot. When I met my fiance's family, I came bearing gifts because I want them to have a good first impression. Now I could have been like, well, it's just my fiance, I'm going to marry her anyway.
Yeah. Don't care what you say.
I don't care what they think. Well, that's the wrong way to think about it. Do you get what I mean? So this is really important. So understand, okay, what is your goal? Is to get this job. All right, who are the stakeholders involved in it? Well, the person that's hiring for this job, maybe my pastor, because sometimes what you're chasing, they might feel a certain way about it. So maybe you need to have a conversation there. Yeah. But yeah, your hiring manager, people in your team, in that potential company you go into.
Yeah.
You know, making sure that, you know, you're aligning with, you understand who they are, you're aligning with, you know, the kind of person that they want in their team. There's so many different things. Like, people, the problem is a lot of young people think about things on a surface level.
Yes, that is very true.
On a very surface level. They don't think strategically about things.
Yeah.
And because they don't think strategically about things, they end up being frustrated because they're not achieving their goals.
Yeah.
But like a lot of young people, you know, they want to buy their house, but they don't really understand, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And what do I need to get other people to do as well? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
Or what is the impression I need to give to X, Y, and Z? Who do I need to convince? Maybe you need some money from your family. Okay, well, is what you want getting that house aligning with, you know, how they see you, and do they think you're responsible enough to buy the house? Because if they don't, they're not going to invest.
It's true,
So you really have to start to understand, you know, who are the stakeholders involved. So that's this. I can go off on one, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, you know, on everything we've talked about, if you know, everyone wants to take away one thing, I would just say, you really, you know, yes, you talked earlier about understanding what you want.
Yeah.
But on top of what you want, who are the stakeholders involved in what I want? And what is the impression that they need to have of me? Because believe it or not, a lot of people have a massive impact whether you reach your goals or not.
Yeah.
A lot of people. If I want to get promoted to a certain role, so if I say, okay, I want to be on this salary by this certain time, I need to get to a certain role.
Yeah.
So that means to get to that certain role, I need to be promoted to that certain role. Then I need to figure out, okay, who influences this promotion, and what is the idea that they have of me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Life is sales, man.
It really is. It really
life is sales in everything.
Really
even when you're having children,
true,
you need to understand who the stakeholders are. Do you get me? Any decision you make is sales. That's how I just apply it.
Yeah.
That's why I make more good decisions
because you take everything into consideration. Your calculation.
Literally,
you're not just like YOLO. This is what we're doing.
I don't believe in it. YOLO is not for me. It was not made for me.
Yeah.
It was not made for me.
I hate that.
So yeah, I take my time with most things, and there's some decisions I make that are like, you know, I've got to go. Like, I can't think about this too much. If I think about this too much, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But that's more out of fear than me not calculating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so if I make a decision and I go, it's because I don't want fear to paralyze me.
Yeah.
But I've still calculated what the risks are.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But bro, this has been amazing topics, but we have to wrap up now.
Sure.
It's been amazing. I'd love to have you back on the show one day. But it was a pleasure.
Nice.
Thank you for allowing me to come through.
You're welcome.
And yeah, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, I'm going to have the links of everything that Michael's doing with personal branding and everything in the description below. And see you guys next week. Bye.